finally, one of my biggest grievances that I have about the Japanese culture as a Japanese man living here is the concept of zangyo, which for those of you who don't know is the Japanese word for staying back and working. Now, I'm sure many of you are aware of the absolutely insane work culture that Japan has, if the previous entries on this list didn't already prove otherwise. But one thing I can say is the absolute root of the evil, root of the problem, is the entire concept of zangyo. But there are actually many types of zangyo here in Japan that go from the somewhat logical to the absolutely absurd. I for one fully understand if, for example, you had to stay back and finish off a project that you need to get done on that day. If it was completely your responsibility to get that one thing done by the end of the day, then yeah, you are pretty much obligated to stay back and finish it off without the extra paying hours, because it's essentially your fault that you're staying back. But then Japan decides to take that concept like 6 million steps further with the idea of inokori zangyo. This happens when you are completely finished with your work and you decide to end it for the day. You're just like, you know what? I've finished with all my work. I'm done. Time to go home. Yet everybody around you, all of your senpais and co-workers and your bosses around you, are still staying back. And so to maintain the respect for your peers and co-workers, you are socially obligated to stay back with them until all of them decide that it's time to leave, that it's time to go home. In other words, you are trapped in your office not because you're a responsible adult who has finished everything that they needed to do for that day, but because your senpais and your bosses are irresponsible and incompetent adults who are not able to finish their work within the day. And thus, you are the one, as an underling, who has to pay for the consequences of their inadequacy. Like, just f*** off. I don't care if my boss isn't finished with his shit. I'm finished with my shit. Let me go home. It's a waste of space, causes unnecessary stress, and just serves no benefit to either party. Seriously, if there's one thing I want from the Japanese culture that needs to change, is its work culture. Get rid of this hierarchical status system and just treat everybody like everybody else, like the West does. Maybe then you'll actually get some work done instead of having to stay back and pretend like we're getting work done. I actually experienced inokori zangyo firsthand when I interned at a Japanese IT company some years ago, and it was agony, to say the least. The worst part is that I wasn't even allowed to sit down and like check and browse my Twitter. Like, I had to sit there and pretend like I was working because we were in a work environment. Worse still, I actually got asked to start doing shit for tomorrow, today, while everybody was staying back with no extra pay. So if I'm having to stay back anyway, even though I finished work because everybody around me is incompetent that they can't get their work done, then what the f is the point? Seriously, Japan, you are literally killing people out here with this whole overworking culture. Just relax, guys.